The rain was pouring down in sheets when Luna Garcia saw the elderly woman struggling at the intersection, her cane slipping on the wet pavement as cars whizzed by without a second glance. Luna didn't hesitate. She sprinted across the street, her canvas shoes splashing through puddles, and reached the woman just as she wobbled dangerously toward the curb. "I've got you," Luna said, gently taking the woman's arm and steadying her. The woman looked up with startled blue eyes, then smiled with genuine warmth. "Oh, thank you, dear. These old bones don't work quite like they used to." "Don't worry about it," Luna said, adjusting her grip as the light changed. "Let's get you across safely." They made their way slowly across the crosswalk, Luna matching the older woman's careful pace. The rain continued to fall, but Luna barely noticed. She had been raised by her grandmother, and helping elderly people was second nature to her. "You're getting soaked," the woman said, glancing at Luna's drenched clothes, "and I'm keeping you from wherever you need to be." "I'm already wet," Luna laughed. "A few more minutes won't hurt. Where are you headed?" "Just to that cafe there." The woman pointed to a small coffee shop half a block away. "My son was supposed to meet me, but I told him I could manage the walk from my car. Stubborn pride, I suppose." Luna walked her all the way to the cafe entrance, making sure the woman was stable before letting go. "There you are, nice and safe." The elderly woman reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "I'm Margaret Lawson. Please take this. I'd like to properly thank you for your kindness." Luna glanced at the card and her eyes widened. It was an elegant card with gold lettering, Margaret Lawson, and beneath it, an address for Lawson Hospitality Group headquarters. She'd heard of them. They owned luxury hotels across the country. "Oh, I don't need any thanks," Luna said, trying to hand the card back. "I'm just glad you're okay." Margaret closed Luna's fingers around the card. "Keep it. You never know when it might come in handy. What's your name, dear?" "Luna Garcia." "Luna. Beautiful name for a beautiful soul." Margaret patted her hand. "Now go on, get somewhere dry, and thank you again." Luna waved goodbye and hurried back down the street toward the art supply store where she worked. She was already 20 minutes late and her boss wouldn't be happy. But as she walked, she couldn't help smiling. Small acts of kindness mattered, her grandmother had always said. They rippled out into the world in ways you couldn't predict. She had no idea how true that would turn out to be. 3 days later, Luna was arranging a display of watercolor sets when her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but she answered anyway. "Hello, is this Luna Garcia?" a professional female voice asked. "Yes, this is she." "My name is Patricia, and I'm calling on behalf of Mrs. Margaret Lawson. She'd like to invite you to dinner tomorrow evening as a thank you for your assistance the other day." Luna nearly dropped a paint tube. "Oh, that's really not necessary. I was happy to help. Mrs. Lawson insists. She's quite determined when she wants to thank someone properly." "Would 7 o'clock work for you?" Luna hesitated. It seemed excessive for just helping someone cross the street, but something in her was curious. "Sure, okay. Where should I meet her? I'll text you the address. It's her home. Dress is casual." When Luna arrived at the address the next evening, she had to check it twice. The house was a mansion, set back from the road with a circular driveway and immaculate landscaping. She felt severely underdressed in her simple blue sundress, even though Patricia had said casual. A woman in her 40s answered the door. She had kind eyes and smiled warmly. "You must be Luna. I'm Patricia. Please come in. Mrs. Lawson is in the dining room." Luna followed her through a stunning foyer with marble floors and a chandelier that probably cost more than Luna's yearly salary. She felt increasingly out of place. Margaret was seated at one end of a long dining table and her face lit up when she saw Luna. "Luna, I'm so glad you came. Please sit down." Luna took a seat and Margaret immediately began asking her questions. Where did she work? Did she enjoy it? What were her dreams? Luna found herself relaxing despite the opulent surroundings. Margaret was genuinely interested, not just making polite conversation. I work at an art supply store, Luna explained, but I'm actually studying to be a physical therapist. I'm in my last year of school. That's wonderful, Margaret said. What made you choose that field? I took care of my grandmother for years before she passed. She had a stroke and needed help relearning how to walk and do everyday tasks. The physical therapists who worked with her were amazing. They gave her back her independence. I wanted to do that for other people. Margaret's expression softened. That's a beautiful reason. Your grandmother raised you well. They were halfway through dinner when Luna heard the front door open. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Mother. Are you here? In the dining room, Nathan, a man appeared in the doorway, and Luna's breath caught. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with dark hair that was slightly disheveled as if he'd been running his hands through it. His suit jacket was slung over one arm, his tie loosened, and there was an intensity in his dark eyes that made her heart skip. He stopped when he saw Luna, his gaze locking with hers for a moment that stretched too long. Nathan, this is Luna Garcia, Margaret said brightly. The young woman I told you about. Luna, this is my son, Nathan Lawson. Nathan's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The one you nearly got yourself killed trying to cross the street. I was not nearly killed, Margaret said with exasperation. Don't be dramatic. You have a driver specifically so you don't have to walk in the rain, Nathan said, his voice controlled but firm. What were you thinking? I was thinking I wanted some independence, Margaret shot back. I'm 73, not 103. Luna felt like she was intruding on a private argument. She started to stand. Maybe I should go. No, please stay, Margaret said, giving Nathan a pointed look. My son just arrived. He can join us if he can remember his manners. Nathan exhaled slowly, and Luna saw him visibly compose himself. When he looked at her again, some of the tension had left his face. I apologize. Thank you for helping my mother. She means everything to me. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. Luna sat back down. I understand. I felt the same way about my grandmother. Something shifted in Nathan's expression. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. Tell me what happened. Mother's version was typically light on details. Luna recounted the story, keeping it simple. Nathan listened intently, and she noticed he had a habit of watching people very carefully when they spoke, as if weighing every word. You could have been hurt, he said when she finished. The drivers on that street don't pay attention. But I wasn't hurt, and neither was your mother. It all worked out. This time, Nathan said quietly. Margaret cleared her throat. Nathan is a worrier. Occupational hazard of running a company, I suppose. Always thinking 3 steps ahead and imagining worst-case scenarios. Someone has to, Nathan said, but there was affection in his voice. The rest of dinner was easier. Nathan asked Luna about her studies, and she found herself talking more freely than she expected. He had a way of asking follow-up questions that showed he was really listening, not just being polite. When dessert was served, Margaret excused herself to take a phone call, leaving Luna alone with Nathan. I really am grateful, Nathan said once his mother was gone. She's all I have left. My father passed away 5 years ago, and she's been the center of my world ever since. She seems like a wonderful person, Luna said. She is, too wonderful sometimes. She trusts people too easily, takes risks I wish she wouldn't. He paused. But I suppose that's what makes her special. Luna smiled. You can't protect people from everything. Sometimes you have to let them live. Nathan studied her for a long moment. That sounds like experience talking. My grandmother wanted to do things herself even when it was hard. I learned to help without hovering. It's a balance. A balance I haven't quite figured out, Nathan admitted. He leaned back in his chair. What do you do when you're not studying or working? Not much, honestly. Between school and my job, there's not a lot of free time, but I like to paint sometimes. Nothing serious, just for fun. What do you paint? Landscapes mostly. Places I've been or want to go. She felt herself blushing. It's silly, really. It's not silly. Everyone needs an outlet. Nathan's phone buzzed and he glanced at it with a frown. I'm sorry. Work. On a Thursday night. The hospitality business doesn't really sleep. There's always a crisis somewhere. Before Luna could respond, Margaret returned with a strange gleam in her eye. Luna, would you mind coming by again, perhaps for lunch this weekend? I so enjoyed our conversation. Luna was surprised but pleased. I'd like that. Wonderful. Saturday at noon. I'll be here. Nathan walked Luna to the door when she left. The rain had stopped and the night air was cool and fresh. Thank you for making her so happy, Nathan said. She doesn't make new friends easily. She's been through a lot. So have I, Luna said. Maybe that's why we connected. Nathan held her gaze. Maybe. Drive safely, Luna Garcia. She felt the weight of his stare all the way to her car. Saturday came quickly. Luna arrived at noon sharp, carrying a small bouquet of flowers from the grocery store. Margaret answered the door herself this time, delighted with the flowers. You didn't have to bring anything, but these are lovely. Come in, come in. They had lunch on the back patio, which overlooked a beautiful garden. Margaret asked more about Luna's life, her studies, her dreams for the future. Luna found herself opening up in ways she usually didn't with people she barely knew. You remind me of myself at your age, Margaret said. Determined, kind-hearted, and far too willing to put everyone else first. Is that a bad thing? It can be if you forget to take care of yourself too. Margaret poured more iced tea. Tell me, is there a special someone in your life? Luna laughed. No time for that. Between work and school, dating hasn't exactly been a priority. Margaret said thoughtfully. What if the right person came along? I guess I'd make time, but that seems pretty unlikely right now. They were interrupted by Nathan appearing on the patio. He looked surprised to see Luna. I didn't know you had company. Luna and I are having lunch, Margaret said innocently. Care to join us? Nathan glanced at Luna and she saw something flicker in his eyes. Uncertainty, maybe, or interest. I don't want to intrude. You're not, Luna said before she could stop herself. Nathan sat down and Margaret immediately launched into conversation, asking him about his week. Luna watched him as he talked about negotiations with a hotel chain in California, a problem with suppliers, a new property they were considering in Miami. He was passionate when he spoke about his work, his whole face becoming more animated. You love what you do, Luna observed. Nathan looked at her. I do. My father built this company from nothing. Carrying on his legacy means everything to me. That's a lot of pressure, Luna said softly. It is, but it's the good kind, the kind that makes you want to be better. Margaret excused herself again, this time claiming she needed to make several phone calls. Luna suspected it was deliberate, giving them time alone. She's not subtle, Nathan said with a slight smile once his mother was gone. She really isn't, Luna agreed, laughing. They talked for over an hour. Nathan asked about her physical therapy studies, and Luna found herself explaining the intricacies of muscle rehabilitation and patient care. He listened with genuine interest, asking intelligent questions. You light up when you talk about it, Nathan said. That's rare. Most people tolerate their work. You love yours. I'm not working yet, Luna pointed out. You will be soon, and you'll be excellent at it. The certainty in his voice made her heart flutter. Over the next few weeks, Luna found herself at the Lawson house regularly. Margaret kept inviting her over, and Luna kept accepting. She told herself it was because she enjoyed Margaret's company, which was true. But she couldn't deny that seeing Nathan was becoming the highlight of these visits. He was often there, working from home or stopping by to check on his mother. Each time he and Luna would end up talking, their conversations growing longer and more personal. One evening, Luna was leaving after dinner when Nathan walked her to her car. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Sure." "Why do you keep coming back?" Most people would have politely declined after the first invitation. Luna considered the question. "Your mother makes me feel less alone. I lost my grandmother 2 years ago, and I didn't realize how much I missed having that kind of connection until I met her." Nathan nodded slowly. "She feels the same way about you. She talks about you all the time." "Really, really?" "She says you remind her of my sister." Luna froze. "I didn't know you had a sister." Nathan's expression grew somber. "I did. Emily. She died when she was 25. Car accident. That was 10 years ago." "Nathan, I'm so sorry. It's why I worry about my mother so much. She's all I have left. Losing Emily nearly destroyed her, destroyed both of us, honestly." He looked away. "I probably shouldn't be telling you this." Luna reached out and touched his arm gently. "It's okay. Thank you for trusting me with it." Nathan looked down at her hand on his arm, and Luna felt the air between them shift. The moment stretched, charged with something unspoken. "Luna," he said quietly, but before he could continue, Margaret's voice called from the house. "Nathan, I need your help with something." The spell broke. Nathan stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I should go. Drive safely." Luna drove home with her mind spinning. She was developing feelings for Nathan Lawson. Real, complicated feelings that scared her because they felt too big, too fast. The next time Margaret invited her over, it was for Sunday brunch. Luna arrived to find not just Margaret and Nathan, but an elaborate spread of food and Margaret wearing her finest jewelry. "Is this a special occasion?" Luna asked. "Just a nice family meal," Margaret said airily. "You're practically family now anyway." Luna blushed and glanced at Nathan, who looked like he wanted to say something but was holding back. Brunch was delicious, but Luna couldn't shake the feeling that Margaret was planning something. The older woman kept steering the conversation toward marriage and relationships, asking Luna pointed questions about what she wanted in a partner. "Mother," Nathan finally said, his tone warning. "What? I'm just making conversation." After they finished eating, Margaret stood up decisively. "Luna, dear, could you help me in the kitchen?" In the kitchen, Margaret turned to face her with determination in her eyes. "I'm going to be direct because that's how I operate. You and Nathan belong together." Luna nearly dropped the plate she was holding. "What? You heard me. I've watched you two together. The way you look at each other, the way you talk, you're perfect for each other." "Margaret, we barely know each other." "Nonsense. Some people know each other for years and never truly connect. You two connected immediately. I saw it that first night at dinner." Margaret took Luna's hands. "My son works too much. He's forgotten how to live, how to be happy, but when he's around you, he's different, lighter, like the old Nathan before we lost Emily. I don't know what to say. Say you'll give it a chance. That's all I ask." Luna's head was spinning. "What does Nathan think about this?" "He's stubborn and scared. He'll fight it, but I know my son. He has feelings for you, he just needs a push." "Margaret, you can't just push people together." "Watch me," Margaret said with a mischievous smile. Luna returned to the dining room feeling completely off balance. Nathan was clearing dishes and he gave her a questioning look. She just shook her head slightly. When she left that afternoon, Nathan walked her out again. This time, he looked frustrated. "Whatever my mother said to you in there, I apologize in advance." Luna laughed despite herself. "She's very direct. That's a polite way of putting it." Nathan shoved his hands in his pockets. "She's been acting strange lately, planning something, I can tell." Do you want to know what she said? Nathan looked at her intently. Do I? Luna took a breath. She thinks we should be together, you and me. Nathan closed his eyes. Of course she does. You don't seem surprised. I'm not. She's been hinting at it for days. I was hoping she wouldn't actually say anything to you. He opened his eyes and met her gaze. I'm sorry. This is completely inappropriate. You've been a good friend to her, and now she's trying to matchmake like we're characters in one of her romance novels. Luna felt a pang of disappointment. So you don't have feelings for me? Nathan's expression shifted. I didn't say that. Her heart started pounding. What are you saying? I'm saying this is complicated. You're 25, I'm 35. You're still in school, I run a billion-dollar company. We're in completely different places in our lives. That's not an answer. Nathan stepped closer to her. The answer is yes. Yes, I have feelings for you. I've had them since that first dinner when you talked about your grandmother, and I realized you understood what it meant to love someone enough to let them make their own choices. Yes, I think about you constantly. Yes, I find excuses to be home when I know you're visiting my mother. He exhaled sharply. But that doesn't mean we should act on it. Why not? Because you deserve someone your own age, someone who can give you a normal relationship, not someone who travels constantly and works 80-hour weeks. Luna felt a surge of courage. Don't I get a say in what I deserve? Nathan looked pained. Luna. I have feelings for you too, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I've been trying to ignore them because I thought you saw me as just your mother's friend. But if you feel the same way, then why are we fighting this? Because I don't want to hurt you. You'll hurt me more by pushing me away. They stood there, facing each other in the driveway. Luna could see the internal war playing out on Nathan's face. Finally, he said, if we do this, we do it right. Real dates. Taking time to actually get to know each other. No rushing. Luna smiled. I can handle that. Nathan reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch gentle. My mother is going to be insufferable about this. Probably, Luna agreed. He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his lips met hers in a kiss that was soft and careful and perfect. When they pulled apart, Nathan was smiling in a way she'd never seen before. I should go, Luna whispered. Probably, Nathan echoed her earlier word. When can I see you again? Whenever you want. Tomorrow, dinner, a real restaurant, not my mother's dining room. It's a date. Luna drove home feeling like she was floating. Her phone buzzed before she even made it to her apartment. It was a text from Margaret with far too many heart emojis. The next few months were a blur of happiness. Nathan took her to elegant restaurants, but also to hole-in-the-wall diners. They went to art galleries and hiking trails. He came to her apartment with takeout on nights when she was too exhausted from work and studying to go out. She met him at his office when he was working late and brought him dinner. Margaret was, as predicted, absolutely delighted. She called Luna constantly, asking for updates and offering unsolicited relationship advice that was somehow both intrusive and endearing. I knew it, Margaret said one afternoon when Luna stopped by for tea. The moment I saw you together that first night, I knew. You're very pleased with yourself, Luna teased. I am. My son has been married to his work for too long. You've brought him back to life. Luna's graduation was in December. Nathan was there in the audience with Margaret, both of them cheering loudly when she walked across the stage. Afterward, Nathan swept her into a hug that lifted her off her feet. I'm so proud of you, he said into her hair. That night, he took her to an expensive restaurant overlooking the city. They were halfway through dessert when he reached across the table and took her hand. I love you, Nathan said. I should have said it sooner. I've felt it for months, but I wanted you to finish school first. I didn't want you to think I was trying to distract you or change your plans. Luna squeezed his hand. I love you too, I have for a while. I know we haven't been together that long, and I know we agreed to take things slow, but I need you to know that this is it for me. You're it for me. You're it for me too, Luna said softly. 3 months later, Luna accepted a position at a rehabilitation center in the city. Nathan helped her move into a new apartment closer to her work and his office. They spent nearly every evening together now, cooking dinner or watching movies or just talking. One Saturday morning, Nathan's assistant called Luna in a panic. Mrs. Lawson collapsed. Nathan's at the hospital with her. He asked me to call you. Luna's blood ran cold. She drove to the hospital, breaking probably a dozen traffic laws. She found Nathan in the waiting room, his face pale and drawn. What happened? Luna asked, taking his hands. They're running tests. She felt dizzy and couldn't stand. Luna, I can't lose her. You won't. She's strong. They waited for hours. When the doctor finally came out, Nathan stood so quickly he knocked over his chair. She's stable, the doctor said. She had a minor stroke. We caught it early, which is good. She'll need physical therapy and some lifestyle changes, but her prognosis is positive. Nathan sagged with relief. Luna held him as he shook. When they were allowed to see Margaret, she was awake and alert. Stop looking at me like I'm dying, she said crankily. I'm fine. You had a stroke, Nathan said, his voice rough. A minor one. The doctor said so. Margaret looked at Luna. You'll be my physical therapist, won't you? Luna smiled through her tears. If you want me to be. I insist. No one else will do. Over the next several months, Luna worked with Margaret 3 times a week. It was different working with someone she loved, but she maintained her professionalism while still bringing warmth to each session. Margaret made remarkable progress, stubborn determination driving her forward. You're a miracle worker, Nathan said one evening, watching through the window as Luna helped his mother with exercises. She's doing the hard work, Luna said. I'm just guiding her. You're doing more than that. You're giving me back my mother. In June, exactly 1 year after their first kiss, Nathan took Luna back to his mother's house. Margaret had recovered almost completely, back to her feisty self. They had dinner on the patio, the 3 of them laughing and talking as the sun set. After dessert, Margaret excused herself with a knowing smile. Once she was gone, Nathan stood and pulled Luna to her feet. Walk with me. They strolled through the garden, Nathan's hand warm in hers. When they reached a gazebo strung with lights, Nathan stopped and turned to face her. Luna Garcia, you walked into my life because you helped a stranger cross the street. You stayed because you have the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. You made my mother love again after years of grief. You made me love again when I thought I'd forgotten how. He got down on one knee and Luna's breath caught. You're my best friend, my partner, my home. Will you marry me? The ring was beautiful, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds. Luna was crying and nodding before he even finished the question. Yes. Yes, of course, yes. Nathan slid the ring onto her finger and stood, catching her in a kiss that tasted like joy and promise and forever. Margaret appeared from around a hedge, not even pretending she hadn't been eavesdropping. Finally, I was beginning to think you'd never ask. They all laughed, and Margaret hugged them both fiercely. I'm going to be the most involved mother-in-law in history. I hope you're prepared. I wouldn't expect anything less, Luna said. The wedding was in September, small and intimate in the garden where Nathan had proposed. Margaret cried through the entire ceremony. Luna wore a simple white dress and Nathan looked at her like she'd hung the moon. I promise to help you cross every street, Nathan whispered as they exchanged rings. For the rest of our lives. That was terrible, Luna whispered back, laughing. I know. I'm better at business than poetry. They bought a house a few blocks from Margaret, who visited constantly and loved every minute of it. Luna continued working as a physical therapist, finding deep satisfaction in helping people reclaim their lives. Nathan still worked long hours, but he made time for dinner with his wife, for weekend getaways, for the quiet moments that made a life together meaningful. 2 years after their wedding, Luna found out she was pregnant. Nathan cried when she told him, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. "We're going to be parents," he kept saying, like he couldn't quite believe it. Margaret was beside herself with excitement. She immediately started buying baby clothes and furniture and offering advice about everything from nursery colors to feeding schedules. Their daughter was born on a rainy spring morning, healthy and perfect and loud. They named her Emily Grace, after Nathan's sister and Luna's grandmother. The first time Margaret held her granddaughter, she looked at Luna with tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for bringing so much love back into this family. Thank you for demanding your son marry me," Luna said with a smile. Margaret laughed. "Best decision I ever made." Nathan came to stand beside them, wrapping his arm around Luna's shoulders as they both looked down at their daughter. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "if my mother had just let you help her across the street and said thank you, none of this would have happened." "Are you saying you're glad she's meddlesome and stubborn?" Luna asked. "I'm saying I'm grateful for every choice that led me to you. Even the ones that seemed crazy at the time." Luna leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of his presence, the gentle weight of their daughter in Margaret's arms, the fullness of a life built on chance and kindness and love. She thought about that rainy day, rushing to help a stranger who turned out to be anything but. She thought about all the ways one small choice could ripple outward, changing everything. "I'd do it again," Luna said softly. "Help her across the street. Even knowing everything that would happen after. Even knowing my mother would orchestrate our entire relationship," Nathan teased, "even knowing that." Margaret looked up at them both. "I heard that, and for the record, I didn't orchestrate anything. I simply recognized what was meant to be and gave it a little push." "A little push," Nathan repeated dryly. "Yes, you two did all the actual falling in love. I just opened the door." Luna looked at Nathan, at Margaret, at baby Emily sleeping peacefully. This was her family now, built from kindness and persistence and love that refused to be denied. "Some doors are worth opening," she said. Nathan kissed the top of her head. "Yeah, they really are." Outside, the rain that had been threatening all day finally started to fall, gentle and soft against the windows. Inside, the Lawson family was warm and together, a circle that had been broken and was now whole again. Emily stirred in her grandmother's arms, and Margaret began to hum softly. It was the same lullaby she had sung to Nathan and his sister decades ago, passed down now to another generation. The sound filled the room with sweetness and memory. Luna watched her husband, his face soft with wonder as he looked at his daughter. This man who had been so afraid of letting someone in, who had built walls around his heart after losing his sister. He had let her pass those walls, let her see all his fears and flaws and dreams, and she had given him the same gift in return. "What are you thinking about?" Nathan asked, noticing her gaze. "How different my life would be if I just walked past your mother that day." "But you didn't." "No, I didn't. Because my grandmother taught me that helping people matters, that small kindnesses ripple out in ways we can't predict." "She was right," Nathan said. Margaret smiled at them both. "She was indeed. And now you'll teach Emily the same lesson, how to see people who need help, how to stop and offer kindness even when it's inconvenient, how to be the person who doesn't just walk past." "That's a lot of pressure for someone who's only 2 days old," Luna joked. "She'll rise to it," Margaret said confidently. "She has excellent role models." They stayed like that for a long time, the four of them together in the soft lamplight, rain pattering against the windows, the world outside distant and unimportant. This was what mattered. These people, this love, this family that had been built on chance and choice, and a willingness to see possibility where others might have seen nothing. Luna had helped an old lady cross the street. That old lady had been the CEO's mother, who had seen something special and demanded her son not let it slip away. It sounded like the plot of a romance novel, too convenient to be real. But it was real. It was her life, unlikely and perfect and hers. Nathan pulled her closer, and Luna rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. A year ago, she couldn't have imagined this. Couldn't have imagined this man, this family, this love that felt too big to be contained in one body. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," Nathan said. "Always." Emily made a small sound and they all laughed softly. Margaret stood carefully and brought the baby to Luna, placing her in her mother's arms with practiced ease. "Hello, sweet girl," Luna said, looking down at her daughter. "You have no idea how wanted you are, how loved. You're going to grow up surrounded by people who would do anything for you." "Spoiled rotten," Nathan added, but his voice was thick with emotion. "Absolutely," Margaret agreed cheerfully. "That's what grandmothers are for." Later that night, after Margaret had gone home and Emily was sleeping in her bassinet, Luna and Nathan lay in bed talking quietly. "Were you scared?" Luna asked. "When your mother insisted we should be together?" Nathan considered the question. "Terrified, not of you. Of how much I wanted it to be true. I'd spent so long protecting myself, keeping people at a distance. And then you showed up, and suddenly all those walls seemed pointless. They were pointless, maybe, or maybe they served their purpose until I was ready to let someone in again." He traced gentle patterns on her arm. "My mother knew before I did. That's the annoying part. She saw it immediately. She has good instincts, the best. Even when they are inconvenient." Luna smiled in the darkness. "I'm glad she pushed. I might have convinced myself you were out of my league otherwise." "Out of your league?" Nathan sounded genuinely surprised. "Luna, you're the one who's out of mine. You're brilliant and kind and you make people's lives better just by being in them. I'm just a workaholic with commitment issues." "A very handsome workaholic with commitment issues," Luna corrected. He laughed softly. "Thanks for that." They were quiet for a moment, listening to their daughter's soft breathing from across the room. "I'm happy," Nathan said finally. "Completely, unreservedly happy. I wasn't sure I'd feel this way again after Emily died. Thank you for that." Luna turned to face him, even though she could barely see him in the dark. "You don't have to thank me. This is what love is, making each other happy, making a life together. Still, thank you." She kissed him softly. "You're welcome." The years that followed were full and rich. Emily grew into a curious, kind-hearted toddler who adored her grandmother. Margaret remained healthy and active, a constant presence in their lives. She took Emily to parks and museums, read her stories, and spoiled her with enthusiasm. When Emily was 3, Luna and Nathan found out they were expecting again. This time, twin boys. Nathan was equal parts thrilled and terrified. "How am I supposed to handle 3 kids?" he asked one night, looking genuinely panicked. "The same way we handle everything else," Luna said calmly. Together. The twins, Noah and Marcus, arrived healthy and loud. The house became a beautiful chaos of diapers and laughter and constant noise. Nathan hired more help at work and cut his hours, determined not to miss these precious years. Margaret was in heaven, surrounded by grandchildren who loved her. She'd sit in her favorite chair with one or more kids piled on her lap, telling stories about their father and their Aunt Emily, keeping those memories alive for a new generation. On Emily the Younger's 5th birthday, the whole family gathered in Margaret's garden for a party. Luna watched her daughter run through the grass with her brothers chasing after her, Nathan following to make sure no one fell. Margaret sat beside Luna, looking content. "You did good, dear," Margaret said. "Look at this family, look at all this love." "We did good," Luna corrected. "You brought us together." "I just opened the door," Margaret repeated her favorite phrase. "You two did the rest." Luna squeezed her hand. "Thank you for opening it." Margaret squeezed back. "Thank you for walking through." Nathan came back carrying Noah, who had scraped his knee. Luna stood to help, taking her son and kissing his wound better. Nathan wrapped his arm around her waist, and they stood together watching their children play. "Best decision you ever made," Nathan said. "Helping that crazy old lady cross the street." From her chair, Margaret called out, "I heard that. I'm not crazy, I'm determined." They all laughed, and Luna felt a wave of gratitude so strong it almost hurt. This was her life. This was her family. Built on kindness, grown through love, and sustained by the choice to keep choosing each other every single day. The sun was setting, painting the garden in gold and pink. Emily ran to her grandmother, and Margaret caught her in a hug. The twins were fighting over a toy truck, and Nathan went to mediate. Luna stood in the center of it all, remembering the girl she'd been on that rainy day years ago. She'd been lonely, exhausted, just trying to get through each day. And then she'd stopped to help a stranger. One small choice. One moment of kindness. Everything had grown from that moment. Everything good in her life could be traced back to that decision to reach out, to offer help, to care about someone she didn't know. Nathan came back to her side. "What are you thinking about? How lucky I am." "We're both lucky," Nathan said. "And we're going to stay that way. I promise you, Luna, forever." "Forever," she echoed and kissed him as their children's laughter filled the air. This was forever. This was home. This was the life that began the day she helped an old lady cross the street. And that lady turned out to be exactly the person she needed to meet. Not because Margaret was wealthy or connected, but because she had a son who needed love and the stubborn determination to make sure he found it. The light faded, stars beginning to appear overhead. They gathered the kids and headed inside for cake. Margaret led the way, walking steady and strong, her grandchildren trailing behind her like ducklings. Luna took one last look at the garden, at the spot where Nathan had proposed years ago, and smiled. Some stories began with grand gestures or dramatic moments. Hers had begun with simple kindness on a rainy street, and that, she thought, was the best beginning of all.